If you have followed me for any period of time, you know I'm very big on being proactive when it comes to health and performance. When we're looking at being proactive, I want you to stop and think about an injury. When we look at injuries, I'm not going to say it's 100% of the time, but I will say it's the majority of the time. Most injuries are a byproduct of not being rested, fed, and hydrated. If you, once again, have followed me for any period of time, you know how I like to keep everything simple and sustainable. We use an acronym here in our office known as the KISS program, Keep It Simple and Sustainable, where most people will immediately go to the opposite and say, keep it simple, stupid, right? Very negative, and it's just the nature of society. I don't know why, but it is what it is. I want you to not buy into that. When we look at injuries, stop and think about what could be the catalyst for an injury. Now, for the sake of time on these videos here today, I'm not going to go through every type of injury that's out there, but let's just use some of the most common ones. A muscle strain. Well, is that muscle strain because the range of motion in the muscle itself is limited? Is it because of dehydration? Is it because you were tired before you started the workout and you tried to do something you probably shouldn't have done? And as crazy as it may sound, and we see this happening all the time, you'll have somebody, I'll give you a specific example. We had somebody who had a newborn baby, and he was a triathlete, a lot of swimming, very, very big muscular upper body from swimming. Reached into the bassinet to pick up his child and blew his back out. Now stop and think about that. He's picking up, literally, I think the child was 7 or 8 pounds, bent over to pick the child up, but as the old saying goes, it was the straw that broke the camel's back. It was just the range of motion, just that little bit of leverage at the end of the arms, shoulder blades rolled forwards, the lower back was bent over just enough, and the erector spinae group, those are the muscles that run on either side of your spine, they went into spasm. Now stop and think about that. That's an injury, right? Now that was an injury that was a byproduct of tight muscles, and then you could keep kind of rolling it back. What was the genesis behind the tight muscle? Is the muscle dehydrated? Does the muscle have scar tissue in it that's causing it to be not as elastic as it should be? Scar tissue does not have good flexibility. Also doesn't have good blood flow. So you start to see the cascading of issues because tight shoulders, and all muscles are interrelated. Shoulders roll forward, pulls up on the muscles through the rib cage into the lower lumbar. Boom. You get the erector spinae group, they go into spasm. Now he's walking around bent over at a 45-degree angle, all because he reached over and picked up his newborn baby. So when we look at an injury, what I want you to stop and ask yourself is, on a daily basis, before you get tomorrow started, what are you doing to come into that day at work, day at school, day at the gym, whatever your sport of choice is? How prepared are you to offset an injury? I say this in almost every video that we put out. I want you to be fed, rested, and hydrated. And notice I do them in that exact sequence. If you need to write it down for illustration purposes, food always precedes quality of sleep. You've got to satisfy hunger before you go to bed. So that's why I always say food, sleep, and hydration, because when you wake up, you need to rehydrate yourself. So now, if I know you're coming into tomorrow's workout fed, rested, and hydrated, I at least know that you've reduced the risk of an injury from a preparation standpoint. With my clients, I'm very big on, we use heart rate training using the Garmin. So every workout's intensity is calculated off of my client's individual max heart rate assessment specific to that sport. It's not as complicated as it sounds. That's our job as an analytics and a physiologist, a physiology company, to make sure that we set the framework for our clients. That way we reduce injury, we reduce the risk of an illness, and that way we get the incremental improvements that everybody's looking for. But coming back to yourself in this video, stop and ask yourself, if you, depending on your age and you've had injuries in the past, how much of those injuries were a lack of preparation? If they were incurred during an athletic event, could it have been that the muscles were dehydrated? Could it have been that your blood sugar levels were too low, so your depth perception, your ability to process speed was negatively affected? Is that what caused you to have an impact injury? Maybe you mistimed something because of low blood sugar. It all comes back to preparation before the exercise, maintaining it all day long, and then maintaining it all week long, and then all month and an entire year. It's not as difficult as it sounds. I'm hoping that these types of videos are bringing a sense of awareness so that you can go in and ask yourself, okay, am I hydrated, fed, rested? If you are, great, we're ready to go perform. That's a proactive approach to an injury. I hope this makes a little bit of sense to you, but as always, if it does not, feel free to send me an email. I'd be happy to engage with you, maybe clarify, maybe eliminate one of your frustrations. Send me an email, contact@coachrob.com. Every day here on YouTube, I'll be uploading a new video, so please make sure you like and subscribe, turn on those notifications, and we look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Thanks for your time.